Hey, and welcome to another edition of Sports Card Investing Targets, where we're going to take a look at some cards which might be worth investing in. And we're going to do our analysis based off of market movers data provided by sportscardinvestor.com, where you can get 20% off your first payment on any subscription by using the promo code GRINDERS. So go check those guys out. Reminder again, check out our content over on RotoGrinders.com in the sports card section, and also check us out in our RotoGrinders Discord in the sports card channel. Give us a like and a subscribe on the video, and let's get on to the cards. All right, so we got a lot going on this week, especially in the baseball world. The MLB players have voted against an agreement with the owners, and it looks like the decision on whether or not a season is going to happen is going to lie with the commissioner, and I think we're going to be getting that information today. So I've got a couple MLB players on the list this week that might be worth investing in ahead of that news. So I'm going to put this video out today instead of waiting until tomorrow on Wednesday to put it out. This is Tuesday right now, June 23rd. So if you're seeing this video before the announcement is made, then hopefully you can get in on some of these cards in anticipation of a potential season actually happening. Right now, still up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen either way, but I'm going to put my money on betting that some sort of a season is going to happen. I just think it doesn't make sense for a season not to happen at this point. If it doesn't happen this year, there's a potential that there might not be a season next year, with players and owners still working out an agreement for beyond this season. So let's see what happens there. But today we're going to start with NBA players, and we're going to start with Ja Morant. And we've highlighted Ja a couple times in these videos and on our show, Sports Card Grinders, which we put up every Tuesday night. So make sure to check out that show weekly. We give a lot of good advice and look at a lot of charts and cards, and people give suggestions and ideas on cards to invest in. So it's always good to check out, at the very least, to get some ideas of cards that you might be wanting to invest in. So as I mentioned, we're starting with Ja Morant. We're going to look at his 2019 Optic Basketball base PSA 10 versus PSA 9 prices. And as you can see, recently on the PSA 10, he broke a downward trend. The card had been trending down for quite a while, about a month and a half, and it broke to the upside just recently in the early part of June. It's coming back down a little bit, but the trend itself seems like it might be broken. We might be reversing ahead of the NBA season continuing here. If we look at the PSA 9, though, it looks like the PSA 9 has been kind of on a flat trend lately, whereas there's been a lot more movement in the PSA 10. So I don't think that the PSA 9 has kind of caught on to that trend yet. So I think there's some potential there that things might turn around for this PSA 9. And I think the PSA 10 too, to be honest. I think the PSA 10, when we get closer to the end of July, I think we're going to start seeing more of an upward trend in Ja as we get closer to those playoffs and the Rookie of the Year announcement and all that kind of stuff. He's got a lot of catalysts coming up, and I think people are coming around to his cards a lot more. People are kind of turning away from Zion cards a little bit, and they're looking for another young player to invest in, and Ja fits that bill perfectly. And he's currently the second biggest rookie in the 2019 class. So let's see what happens with these cards. I'm willing to bet that they're going to start an upward trend. So I did notice back on June 7th, before that big spike in the Ja PSA 10 price, the PSA 9 held 40% of that PSA 10 value, and right now it's about at 32%. So there's close to a 30% increase potential for that PSA 9 if it catches up to recent trends in price discrepancy between PSA 9 and PSA 10. Next up is Trae Young. Trae Young has also been discussed on the show recently. And as we can see from this chart, his PSA 10 has taken a nice move to the upside. And it looks like it's at about a 3-month high. And this was a stock I'd be looking for its previous high, which you can see over here at $208 back on the 17th of April. Whereas right now, the last two sales have been $248.65 and $251.50. So that tells me that the PSA 10 is breaking out a little bit here. Like I said, if it follows stock trends, then this could mean some significant upside for the PSA 10. But I also like the PSA 9 because it doesn't look like it's quite caught up to that trend yet. It's still not at its 3-month high. It's kind of close to that peak there, but it still hasn't crossed it yet. So if the PSA 10 ends up breaking out and the 9's lagging a little bit, that's a good opportunity to get in on the PSA 9 before it starts following that PSA 10 trend upwards. So we wanted to get into a few baseball players too, with this baseball news hovering over us. The first guy I wanted to look at was Ronald Acuna. And the cards I'm comparing here are his BGS 9.5 and his PSA 10 of the Bowman Chrome 2017 Prospects card. So as you can see from this chart, he's been on a decent upward trend for the last month or so. He was heading down a little bit at the end of April, but it looks like his card has started trending up again. If baseball happens, this would be a big boon for a guy like Acuna. One thing that I noticed with comparing these two charts is that the BGS 9.5 surprisingly surpasses the PSA 10 at a lot of different points in this chart. That tells me that the PSA 10, there might be some value there. Usually PSA 10s hold significant amount more value than the BGS 9.5, and for these to be trending so closely and so together in price tells me that, yeah, there's some value there in that PSA 10, and I think it might be worth looking into investing in. The final guy I wanted to look at today is Jasson Dominguez, another name that we've discussed a lot on the show especially, but Jasson Dominguez is a great prospect. He's a 17-year-old in the Yankee system. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty with MLB, so if things went south and we didn't have a season coming up, that would be a huge hit to a 17-year-old prospect who needs as much minor league experience as he can get in these next few years before he gets his opportunity in the majors. So canceling the 2020 season followed by a potential lockout in the 2021 season would be disastrous for his development. He needs as much minor league experience as he can get. So anticipating that they're going to work things out, if we look at Dominguez's price, we can see that with his autographed Bowman Prospects Chrome card, he was close to 1,600 when these Bowman cards first started hitting retail and people started selling this autographed version of the Chrome card. Currently, it is at 875. So that's a pretty steep decline over the past month or so, which is understandable because right out of the gate with all the hype this guy was getting, it makes a lot of sense that his prices were bubbling a little bit, were a little bit frothy. But now we can see kind of a consolidation here, these last few sales, which makes him start to look interesting, which could mean that his prices are resting here right now as we await news for the MLB season and whether or not it's going to continue. I would imagine that if it's announced that the MLB season is going to happen this year, that Dominguez's price would go from this level, this 800 to 900 or so level, up to probably around this 1,200 level at least. So I think you can get like a potential 30 to 50% gain in a card like this in the near term. I'd say next few months if things go our way and the MLB season is announced and then Dominguez ends up showing some talent in the minor leagues. Personally, I'm scooping up his regular Bowman Chrome cards, the unautographed ones. I like that it's at the $25 price point. That's where I want to start accumulating this card. I've been watching it pretty closely since it was at about $40, waiting for it to come down to a reasonable price where you can start just to accumulate this card. If you look at eBay auctions, a lot of times you'll see that the card is selling for final prices in that 24 to 27 range. And if you're looking at buy it now, a lot of times you can negotiate that price down to this $25 range. You just got to try and hit up the sellers with those offers and get it down to that $25 range, because I wouldn't want to pay over $30 including shipping for this card. And in fact, I think a better way to go would be to start accumulating this in ComC if you have an account over there, or other similar sites where you don't have to pay a shipping fee for every purchase that you make. That's it for this week, guys. Thanks for joining us. Give us a like on the video down below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to check out RotoGrinders.com, the sports cards section. You can see our articles and videos, which we're putting up regularly. Also, in our RotoGrinders Discord, you can check out the sports card channel, where we're always sharing mail days and giving each other ideas on cards to invest in. Also, subscribe to sportscardinvestor.com using the promo code GRINDERS, and that's going to get you 20% off your first payment on any subscription. In order to use all the cool tools and data that we use in these videos, you're going to want to sign up for the Market Mover subscription, which is about $50 a month, I believe. And you can also get that 20% discount if you buy a year up front. So make sure to do that, and we'll see you next week.